Welcome to Thought Crimez, baby.
And this is
Thought Crimez.
Aha! I did that bad. This is Thought Crimez. This is your girl, Sincere.
Sincere, you gotta stay.
There you go. That's better.
Yo,
That's better.
This is your man, Prince Solomon. Look, we gonna go ahead and get into this, man. I am so happy that Jadakiss and Fabolous brought some street hop back. Now, street hop, y'all don't know if y'all
Fabuloso.
Yeah, street hop is like, that's that under-genre energy, particularly in the East, of like rap music, rap hip-hop. So I like street hop. I love the fact, man, I'm telling you, just some fire bars on this.
I heard Chris, New York beats. I heard rhymes and lyrics. Deadly lyrics.
You can never play yourself.
F versus J. Let's talk about the track, man.
All right, then, that intro track. That's what we talking about here?
That's what we talking about.
Okay, this is what we're going to get into. The lyrics, and then we're going to get into, like, the sound of a song.
All right. Let's start off verses, though. We got Fabolous, who came off first, ripping it.
You're supposed to drop a pause, because we're talking about East Coast cats now.
Then,
pause. He came off first. Pause. Pause! Go ahead.
And Jadakiss coming in second, rapping.
Okay.
Who, first of all, before we even go to the lyrics, I know they have different styles, but who you felt took that shit?
Oh, yeah, I will say Fabolous. Fabolous.
You said Fabolous?
Fabolous.
Yo, I was gonna say Jadakiss, man. You feel Fabolous?
I feel Fabolous.
I feel Jadakiss, man.
It's too many punchlines and metaphors. Just, you know, Jadakiss, he just has a prominent voice, man, and okay, this is my thing about it.
All right, no. We're talking about the lyrics first.
Yeah.
Go ahead on Fabolous.
All right, this is what I'm gonna say though. All right, this is how they did it. Because Fabolous has a very quick time. It's not like twisted staccato, but it's a little bit faster than Jadakiss. So he has more room to play with metaphors and lyrics, right? In that regard, you know. And he just kept nailing them after, you know, like punchline after punchline after punchline. I used to always question, why did Lloyd Banks call himself Punchline King? I'm like, nah, that's Fabolous. He's the Punchline King. So, that being said, though, I enjoy the energy from both of them. I like what they did with Jadakiss half, though, because of how gravely and heavy his voice. It became, the track just got darker.
This is Jason.
This is Jason. Oh, I love both of them as MCs now. I really like. This is like, to me, it's just a thing where I like their styles to complement each other. You know. We've seen other pairing, like I remember people was like they wanted to see Fabolous and Lloyd Banks come together on the track, and they did, but it just wasn't as magical. Like because Lloyd Banks has moved away from punchlines,
and it's chemistry too. Like Jadakiss, Styles P, Fabolous, you know, those type of guys, they have chemistry with each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely important. You know. Also, you could put Beanie Siegel in there. These guys, they have chemistry with each other.
Facts.
Exactly.
Where do I come in on this?
So,
can I get in beans?
When I heard, of course, Fabolous did a great job. Like you said, there were a lot of punchlines. There were a lot of metaphors.
Yeah.
You know, he's also talking about being a vet in this game and how he's still being overlooked. You know, he is overlooked,
severely, you know? Man. It's very disrespectful where they placed him, which is not on the list. Like, you look at it, I would almost give him the low-key LL factor, how they treated him.
But because they felt like, I think some people tried to say him and Jay-Z were too similar at one time. You know, like, people try to put that comparison out there, even though, you know, they got some overlapping qualities, but they're not the same.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about that, right? Because, you know, Fabolous is of the 2000 era MC.
Yes, he is.
Jadakiss is of, like, he comes from the mid-90s.
90s, yes.
All right. I could see where they went with it initially. Like, when we talking about his first album, Ghetto Fabolous.
Yeah.
Although, like, to me, when I saw him, I just thought a lot of dudes from that way had that style anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, but Jay-Z, by the time Fabolous came in, and you had Fabolous, Paul Kane, you had Ransom, you had Joe Budden, they all pulled from the Jay-Z L. T.I. pulled from the Jay-Z L. Lil Wayne pulled from the Jay-Z L. So you can't say, like, I never liked when people say, oh, he like a bootleg Jay-Z, because to me, when it came to metaphors and lyrics, straightforward, he was much better than Jay-Z.
Because you know how they came out, and it is the first time, you know, with the wear.
Yeah.
Because, you know, although a lot of guys had that wear where they had the bandana tip, you know, Dipset had it with the jerseys and then that.
It was like different.
But you know, Fabolous and Jay-Z had similar builds at the time. not now.
But they both from Brooklyn.
And they both were, guys who are considered pretty tall, although Jay-Z is taller. And they were
Fabolous that's taller.
Oh, it's Fabolous. Okay.
Fabolous like 6'6" or something like that.
And then on top of that, they had the whole subliminal thing that even Fabolous was going into, although he was a bit more forward than Jay-Z, though.
Facts.
He was more forward, but
Much better.
He got into the subliminals too. So I would say that there's a difference, though. And I didn't like how people try to paint Fabolous as like a bootleg Jay-Z. You know?
You know what? And another thing about it, this is why I brought up the LL factor, because I know some people are going to be like, what are you saying, Prince? Are you saying he's just like, no. It's like LL had everything, so people kind of went like this. Oh, okay, well, we're going to move in a different direction. If you think about it, Sincere, like, Fabolous, first of all, can't nobody mess with him in the lyric department, right? Even Royce da 5'9" said, I don't know how he keeps coming up with these things. And Royce is a pretty heavy MC.
Whoa, but you saying nobody can mess with Fab on the metaphors department? Punchlines, yeah. I feel like nobody can mess with him in that punchline department. I really like his setups are quicker than anybody else's. Yeah.
Like if you listen to Crooked Eye, he does his nice setup, but it takes him a little longer. Joe Budden takes a long time to get to finish his setup. Royce da 5'9" does it, but it still takes him a little long time.
Joel, I would say, is pretty fast getting to his punchlines too, but I do think Fabolous does it more rapid shots.
It's almost like he does it so many times. Like he got throwaway ones. He just throw them away.
Yeah.
But anyway, the only thing about this though, I was gonna say about Fabolous is that Fabolous, he has the lyric department as an MC. His mixtapes are dope. The Bury the Competition Volume 1, 2, and 3 was like dopes. I thought they were classic mixtapes. And then he had made radio hits too. People forget, like he had a lot of radio hits.
Yeah.
So like
back.
Yeah, so like when people was like, who's gonna bring back the East Coast? They like, they went just to 50 or Diplomats. Mm-hmm. But like people forget to bring up Fabolous.
No, they do. They do forget to bring up Fabolous. You know. And switching over to Jadakiss, who's also have had multiple hot mixtapes.
Oh yes. And
he had probably his own solo wise. Why single was his hottest single, mainstream wise, meaning selling.
Yeah.
Although we
gon' make it. We gon' make it.
And he had a lot of hood anthem that multiple things that have gone into that stratosphere. When we talking about people who know hip hop, he had more than one.
Oh yeah, he was the second general in the Rough Rider clan behind X.
Oh, absolutely.
Jadakiss
lyrically was an assassin, still is. Yeah. His flow is tight and his metaphors are crazy as well. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of punchlines too. Now he doesn't do it rapid fire punchline like
they're heavy
Fabolous
though
does.
When they land.
But man,
when they land,
he's a heavyweight when it comes to punchlines. So when he do a punchline, it'll knock you the fuck out.
He remind me of like the 45-year-old George Foreman. I know Jadakiss ain't 45, but I'm just saying like he had that George Foreman blow behind his bars.
Yeah, and then also his voice. Mm-hmm. He has an amazing voice.
Very unique.
It's very nice on most instrumentals.
He has the most recognizable voice in hip hop.
In fact,
distinct voice.
People want to talk about shit though, but I think it is true to make an East Coast connection even with Atlanta, because of course Jadakiss came out before Jeezy, and although Jeezy is a little bit more, I think, I wouldn't say deeper, but he has his own unique sound, vocal cords to his voice.
Yeah.
But one can say that whole drug dealer raspiness thing sound. Jadakiss.
No, absolutely. There was a joke. There was a joke for a minute. I had a homeboy. He said when he first heard Jeezy, he said, he thought it was a retarded Jadakiss. But Jeezy had some hot anthems. But
Jeezy don't have them fire lyrics though.
Nah.
But he has the hot anthems, like you said. He does still got a great voice. He's not a crappy lyricist.
No, it's not the same though. It's just
not the same.
Like the hardest I heard Jeezy go in a verse was the War Ready track with Rick Ross, and he outshined Rick Ross all the way. And Rick Ross is a nice lyricist himself, but Jeezy for the most part he really works off charisma in his bars.
Exactly.
That's what he does. It's kind of like when 50 came out, when he came out with his second album, Get Rich or Die Trying. Not necessarily like complex bars, but more about the lyrics, like how he said them, and Jeezy pulled from that, how he said them. Jay-Z has that, how he said them, but he also has the lyrics behind it. But Jadakiss, is on a whole nother level. And actually, Jadakiss laid down the blueprint for the likes of a Fabolous to come through. So it's almost like he got a chance to work with a legend.
And also Jadakiss, I think, is someone who would be my top 10 to do diss records. I'm just being real, because it's very, you know, people want to talk about people who are legendary dissers like Eminem and all that, but you could easily put Jadakiss in top 3.
I agree with you with that, Sincere. I agree with you, because that track he did against 50 Cent, Miss Jackson, was funny. Now,
even when he was throwing, you know, there was that whole thing between him and Beanie Siegel. You know, at one time,
Beanie Siegel won that one. I'm sorry, like, I love Jadakiss, but Beanie Siegel won that one. That was a hard ass track. They had to cut the nigga off because he kept going. They had to turn his mic down. They gonna have to turn me down. But Jadakiss, he came back with a very strong response, which it kind of left some people split. But overall, though, no, Jadakiss, look, that's why people don't try him. Like, remember we talked about, like,
50 and used the Interscope power to shut him down.
Yeah, because Jadakiss,
they nothing that he could do.
Come on, man.
Him and M couldn't deal with Jadakiss.
Yeah, a lot of people couldn't deal with Jadakiss.
Like, what would Eminem even say about Jadakiss that would win favor? Like, when you even think about some of the other MCs, maybe it could something he could use against Wayne, whatever. But you know, Jadakiss, nah.
Well, it depends. Now, I agree with you, because you made a point earlier, which I agree with 100%. I still say when it comes to technical skills with Eminem, a lot of people can't fuck with him because the way he arranges his work, it's just very schizophrenic. That being said, though, if you see, people don't understand, it's more to a diss record than just the bars, because we've seen great lyricists that their bars kind of, like, it didn't matter how they said them.
But that's not a great...
Right? So the point is, the point is this, is like, when you have Jadakiss, right, if he were to diss of someone, right, and he has the bars, he has the charisma behind it, he has that dark energy when he's speaking. Like, if you look at Eminem, right, Eminem's the type, especially at this stage, and it depends on which Wayne we would have gotten. If we would have got 2008, 2009 Wayne, I would kind of leave it up in the air, simply because of how charismatic Wayne was on the mic. It was the way he was saying things, coupled with his rhyme scheme. And then if you have guys like T.I., or if you was talking with guys like Jadakiss, you gotta understand, when them boys had that swagger and they putting that out there as well, Eminem could rap circles all he want. He may come across as very robotic and people ain't gonna feel it. And, you know, people can just curve them out or something. I
don't think as a technician rhyming words together make you an automatic elite MC either. Even though Eminem is an elite MC and a technician, and also we've seen music from him where he's gotten off of that, meaning he was able to focus and do creative rhymes to diss people and all that. It's with Jadakiss, I've never seen Eminem rap like Jadakiss on a consistent.
They're not. That's two different pedigrees.
On a consistent level, with the metaphors and the focus when it's attacking somebody, and on top of that, Cannabis, for example, I feel like Jadakiss, because he's more focused, he can beat Cannabis if it was like them dissing each other. Although Cannabis would definitely whoop some ass.
Yeah,
I would personally think Jadakiss would take it. Now, we saw Eminem go at Cannabis. He was making a lot of diss tracks against Cannabis, even though people in the mainstream didn't know who the fuck he was talking about. But he was talking about Cannabis. Most of Cannabis diss track destroyed Eminem, and most people, it never, reached the mainstream, ears. But
it's hard to fight that Interscope machine. Well, see, here's the thing about it. Now, when you're talking about Cannabis and Jadakiss, that's more of an appropriate battle, I would say. Only reason why I say this is because the type of pedigree they come from as MCs, it's kind of up in the air, to be real with you. It really is, because Cannabis is a beast. That being said, though, like when Eminem did Nail in the Coffin and The Sauce, which to me, sonically and technical skills, it made him an elite MC in that regard. Those are the hardest diss tracks I heard from him. Outside of that, with Eminem, he's always hovered around the bullshit pop space, which is why we don't know to the degree of how he can be challenged. Like, people didn't know how deadly Nas was until he was challenged by an equally deadly MC, that of a Jay-Z. you know, when you get a takeover and then you come back with an ether. We've never seen Eminem in that space. That's why for us personally,
we have seen him in that space though.
What space is that?
When he's gone after, he did respond a lot of times to cannabis.
This is okay. Here's my thing about the cannabis situation.
And real quick, he was responding directly with more than one verse at times. So I do think that's not brought up enough, because I feel people want to keep Eminem in a certain
and that's the problem
pedestal. But if you lose against cannabis, which he did, that brings the question then a lot of other MCs where we would think, yo, they would give cannabis a run for the money. That
no, absolutely.
Eminem could possibly will possibly lose by.
Look, aside from cannabis's quirky information, there's not too many MCs that can give him a run for his money. There really isn't.
But the ones we're talking about on that level, we're talking about, okay, LL was able to give cannabis a run for his money, even though I personally thought cannabis still won.
Yes.
But LL, right?
Right.
Right now, people would say LL versus Jadakiss. A lot of people would be like, "Yo, come on, Jadakiss will win." Although I think LL Cool J in his prime, that would have been, you know, a good.
Because he was a showman on the microphone.
But now, when we're talking about on this level, if LL can give cannabis a run for his money, although cannabis won and cannabis beat Eminem, and we're talking about Jadakiss and some other rappers in that same round, then you start to see that it actually weighs more closer than what people would perceive.
Well, the reason why I said that, okay, reason why is we never going to know, because he's been smart enough for it to not happen. Think about it. By the time even Cannabis and M got into it, Cannabis had such a stench on his name in the industry, they didn't even try to push any of his. He actually, by the time he got to the Eminem situation, Cannabis is one of my favorite MCs. I've listened to all of his stuff. He's a dope MC. Great. But he had become almost a laughing stock in a pariah sense in the industry. So it was like, the way Eminem finessed that situation, it made Cannabis seem like he actually almost tried to like Jermaine Dupri him in some regard as MC.
I understand that energy there, but
here's the thing about it, right? The reason why we don't know at this point, because Eminem has took the safe route so many times. You know, we've never seen him in a situation where he had to meet somebody that had equal visibility as him, where he could lose. Like if you look at most of these guys, even when LL and Cannabis got into it at the time, Cannabis had a lot more visibility on him, and so people was kind of indecisive about that match right there. And LL was prominent, he was big at the time. It wasn't like he was challenging some dude that just fell out of the closet. You know, Cannabis had a name for himself at the time. By the time he got to Eminem, it had already dwindled. Eminem has always taken shots at people either that were struggling within the industry, on the downshifts of their career, or in completely different genres. That being said, I do feel like in other regards, Eminem is completely overrated, and he'll never be able to make a track like Jadakiss and Fabolous. Okay, the energy between them was much stronger than what we saw with Eminem and Royce da 5'9" on Bad Meets Evil. I feel like this personally.
Well, that track with Royce and them, that was pretty good. But overall, as a whole, a complete work, I definitely agree. And I still think you could rate people even if they haven't gone through the mainstream battles, because if you're a hip-hop head and you know the culture and all that, then you can already equate it by him losing to Cannabis, you know. So that's how I weigh it. I don't care about what people say.
Well, you know what, it's a different situation right now.
Yeah,
I've always felt he lost to Cannabis.
Yes.
I was never one of these people that I was on the Eminem wave and then I had to fall off to understand he was overrated. When he came out, I was listening to Cannabis when I was younger, and I just knew how dope of an MC Cannabis was. You would need the Cannabis to go at somebody like Nas. You need him to go at a Cool G Rap to see where it could be leveled off. You can need him to go at a Jean Grey or something like that, or even how Lady of Rage has been spitting right now lately. Okay?
Oh, Lady Rage is doing, oh my God.
Now, to me, when it came to the package, like even the verses she's dropped, the verse she had with MC8 on that DJ Premier track was much better than stuff I heard from Eminem lately.
And Papoose has also a contender. I think Papoose, if I had to choose a top 10, and my top 10 will be deadly assassins that I want to fucking roast people or do tracks, be Papoose, it would be Jadakiss, I would have Redman on there. I will also have, I don't care what nobody says, they laugh at Cannabis all they want. I will put Cannabis.
Cannabis is ill.
I'll put Cannabis in there for sure. I'll put Drills. I'll put Crooked Eye. Definitely have to put Crooked Eye in there.
Fact, yeah, definitely.
You know, I would put Voice the 5'9" in there.
Yeah.
You know, I would also put in there. I got 7 people right now.
Because you said 10.
You know, yeah. I would put. I actually would put Killer Mike in there.
Okay.
I put Killer Mike in there, so I got 8 right now. I put Killer Mike in there. I would also. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna put Andre 3000 in there. Cause I think I know where I'm gonna go with the music with this. I'll put him in there as well, and I'll put Kendrick Lamar in there too.
Okay,
that'll be my top 10 for them to come together and to just verbally destroy another top 10 group.
Well, I mean, I like the names that you had in there. Cannabis, you know, I don't really have a number. I'm just going to toss out some names. Cannabis, Crooked Eye, of course. I got to have Tech 9 in there.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, Tech 9 is dope, you know. And in fact, I always thought he was a superior lyricist to Eminem. I just always felt that. That's why I said, no, it's when I talk about technical skills, it's just about the wordplay and things like that. But outside of that, there's so many reasons why that boy was overrated to me. That because I grew up listening to MCs that had already done many of those things before. But of course, you got Jadakiss. Fabolous, people underestimate him. He's a great disser. I've only seen one public diss where he had to handle Mace a little bit, and it was a funny track, you know. But T.I. gets busy when it comes to diss records.
He does. T.I. does get busy.
But if you talking about them, you can even go find old ass Chino XL right now. All right, I'm just being real. Like the Horseshoe Gang, right? From Crooked Eye, all of his brothers, and the one hefty brother in there in the group.
Yeah, but getting back to
you said get back. Because we didn't went all over the place with this. You know how we do.
Getting back to Elm Street though, you know, everyone says it's a mixtape. But I think it's fire. I do think it's a hot mixtape. I love Fabolous and Jadakiss energy. In fact, this should be like a little brunch right now. And later on, I want a dinner. I want a full album from them.
Well, they said this is an album. Fabolous and Jadakiss dropped Friday Elm Street album. So it's an album. It's an album.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's dope. It's all about dope lyrics. As far as I'm concerned, they have a great chemistry with each other, and that's another thing about Jadakiss. People forget how transformative he is as an MC, because him and the synergy that he had with Styles P and even Sheik and Luch was very great. It was very good, and the fact that they can mesh well here on Jadakiss and Fabolous was not a letdown. And I know people have been waiting for this and waiting for this and waiting for this, and it's not a letdown. It is dope. And I love the track, of course, Freddie versus Jay, F versus J, and Talk About It with Tiana Taylor, stand-up theme music. And I like the fact how they lightly incorporated many of the contemporary artists today,
and
like Future.
They added some trap songs like the East Coast, Northeast.
Yeah, when you're talking about like Future, Yo Gotti, Jeezy on the stand-up remix as well. So I think that's a nice, dope, beautiful, unique blend. You know, so it is what it is, man.
So what would you rate this album?
Because it's not Eminem, I'm gonna give it a 2.
I'm definitely gonna give this an 8 out of 10 for me.
I got it about 8.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8. Yeah. 8 solid 8. It's very
solid fucking 8. Man.
Street hop.
Hop.
If you just want to hear some shit while you getting your hair cut, riding around in the music in the car and everything, or if you lifting weights. So
everybody check out Friday on Elm Street album.
They got me sitting on the toilet out here shitting on these niggas. They don't even know it. Anyway, we out of here, y'all. Peace.
Go to our Patreon for more. And don't bother me.
business are you in?
Oh, I make my bread and butter. I'm pushing.
What business are you in?
Oh, I make my bread and butter. I'm pushing. I'm pushing. I'm pushing. I'm pushing.
What business are you in?
Oh, I make my bread.